All right. Welcome to Bikas web channel. My name is Bikas and I'm here back again with another video. This time we are almost at the end of our video series that is related to this application. We are calling it an easy link. The idea of this is you can create a short URL and then upon entering the short URL, your user will be redirected to the original URL. So far we have already done a lot of things and this is the second last video. So after this video we'll still have one more video for this series and you can find everything in this GitHub repo. Just to let you know, I'm working on tutorial branch and it will be margin master, but if you want to follow me from the very start, then you can start it with a fresh start. And also watch the video from the part 1 because I have all the playlist and all the link in the description below. In today's video, we will be focusing in editing this, okay? So we have already attached a delete part in our last video. And in this video, our user will be able to edit by clicking this edit button. So when someone clicks this edit, we will be opening some sort of model and we will be passing the data related to that specific row, and then user can do whatever the changes they want to do with name or the original URL, and then they save it and we will save that, and then user can delete it or whatever they want to do. And beside that, we'll try to clear out a couple of things. For example, when we have this list, we don't want that this kind of empty state to be shown, so we want maybe some sort of button here. We actually don't have that in our design here. However, we'll just implement some sort of button here so the same function can be done from here. And then if we don't have anything, then we will show this empty state. So we'll try to clean a bit and then we'll focus on editing. So let's see how far we can go today. And then after that, in our last video, we'll try to do everything possible. So if that sounds cool, if that's what you are looking for, then smash the like button. If you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed the channel already, then subscribe the channel as well as press the bell notification icon. Also, you can follow me on Instagram because I post almost every day some sort of reels there which you can watch and you can learn every day something new. So we are here in our project folder and we will be focusing also in the server side and also in the front end. So we will be touching both part today. So let's go to first our client side. Let's go to client side, and then I want to add something here, and that is React Model. So let's go here, and just to give you an idea, I'm going to use this package here. You can also build your own model. So we have some sort of documentation here, and the first thing is we have to bind it somewhere. So let's just go, and here in our maybe root folder, I'll just go here and I will import this, import model from React Model, and probably somewhere here. I don't need to do this, but I'll just go and attach root there, and it says that, let's see if we have types from there or not. So we have a model and I also installed type, and then we have attached this, almost following everything from what the documentation says. And there is also some sort of way to have custom styles and such, and we will also do that. Okay, so that part is good. Next, let's go and let's try to attach this model somewhere. So to do that, we will go to our pages and then inside dashboard. So we have been doing everything here inside the dashboard. So once again, we'll do the same thing here in the dashboard. So let's go to dashboard, and then I'll just do React Model. Okay, so we have model here, and when we have model, we will also like to do a couple of things. So the first thing is I'll just do if the model is open or not. Okay, so let's go here and I'll just say here is edit dialog open, and also I will set something. So this is what we will be using to control the modal dialog. And then also I need to do something. Okay, so where am I going to? And then I'll create a function just like we have render URL and everything else. Somewhere here I will also go and I will do render edit model, just like how we are doing here. So let's do the same thing, and then all these dots is it will render modal. So we'll return, and what we will return, we'll return a model, and for now I will just do test. And then this requires something. So first of all, it is open, and you will get everything from here, documentation here, so you can just check it out. And I will just do something is open, and then the is open will be whatever we have given here. So let's just copy this, and then we need to render this edit model. And where are we going to edit render the edit model? That's an interesting question. So I would say somewhere here, I guess here we can just do, okay. So now if I go here, okay, we are still getting some issue. So I just restarted it, and it works pretty good. So what we want to do here in edit model is cancel, and then this will be a function, and this will be used to cancel things. So for example, I will say set to false, and you will understand why I'm using this as a separate function here, because we will be using it in multiple places, and you will see how many places we will be using, at least 2, I think. So there is something called on request close, and here we can use on cancel. And then for now I think this is pretty good. Well, I think we also want to have some sort of model. For now, let's just go here and let's just make this true, so we can see. Okay, so this is how our model looks. And then I like to follow the same style. So we have content here. I can even copy this, and then maybe there are a couple of other things. So let's just go here and let's create some style somewhere here, maybe at the end. So I'll just have this model style, and then we can have it here. So if I go to style, I can give it a model style. So now if we go here, okay, this looks more like a model, and that's good. Okay, so the next thing is we want to have a couple of things inside here, but before that we need to go here and we need to have one more state, and then the state will be here. I can just go here and then do const and edit URL data. So this will be the data that we will be updating as we want to edit some row. So what I meant is we have this one here, this one here, or this one here. So whenever someone clicks, we will open the dialog that you saw earlier, and then we'll pass the data to be updated. Okay, so we will have something here, and then that data will be a type of URL. So it will be partial, meaning we don't need everything to be updated, but just a couple of things. Okay, so I think this is good, this is good. And then here I can also do something. So what I want to do is I want this data to be empty. So the idea is whenever someone cancels this or closes the dialog, we will want to clear everything, because we will be using same dialog for any of the rows. Okay, so we don't want that when we are trying to edit this row and then later we decided no, we don't want it, we want to edit this, then we don't want that data from this stays there, because we are only using one state. So that's why we want to clear the data, and that's good. And now we have almost everything we want to proceed. So let's just go here, and then in our design we have okay, that sounds good. So I will quickly go and I will put input and everything here, and then I'll come back. All right, so I now did a couple of things. So basically I have this S3 here, and I'm also giving some name here, and then I have text input, and then basically just trying to follow the same format here. I'm not going to use this sort URL because we are not editing sort URL. If you want to edit sort URL, then you will create a new sort URL. So that's not in use there. And then I also did one more thing. So what I did is, for example, this button, if you see, I have style here, and earlier we didn't have that as prop, so I added that, and then I also realized we need similar thing also for text input. So mostly we are using classes and CSS. However, in some cases like here, we just want a quick kind of a style here, such as margin, or in this case we just wanted some display flex and such. And for this kind of simple thing, I like to use this kind of style instead of again giving a class name and so on. So that's what I did. And now if we save it here, if we go here and if we try to edit, okay, so we are getting something. We have modal. Okay, I understand why we are getting that. So I haven't attached anything here, and I also need to make some modification here. So I will be doing that because we want that this dialog to be open. So there are several ways of doing it, and if we have some sort of state management, which probably we will be dealing in next video, then we will be doing this in different way. But for this video, because we have everything in this and we don't have any state management, so I'll try to do a little bit manual way. And what I meant by manual way is, if you see this value here, for example, this edit dialog, this is not accessible. So if you see the scope of this ends here, however our actions and editing, they all are here. Okay, so this edit and delete, they are out of the scope. So we have to somehow pass that data down there, at least for now. There are other ways to deal with that. So let's just hover over here, and we just have that. So I will go here and I will exactly copy this like that, and then I'll go here and here. So along with URL data, I will also do something like this, and I will save it, and then I should be getting some issue here. Okay, and then this also lies somewhere outside, so I will also give it here. And then when I do that, I need to break this. Okay, so to break this, well, actually I didn't need to break this, but I need to pass it here. Okay, so I did pass here. So now we have some issue here, and here we can do, so instead of map and this, I can do something like that with arrow function. And now we need to pass the data, and then we need to also pass set is dialog open. Okay, so you see that I started passing the thing from here all the way down there, so that our action here will get the access to it. Okay, so now when we do edit, we want to, instead of console logging data, we want to do something here. So the first thing is I'm just thinking is that enough, or do we also want to pass the data? I think we need to also pass the data. Okay, so that is not enough. Alright, so I also now passed our two setter function, both edit dialog and setting data, and this goes all the way here. And now inside edit button we have to use it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do whenever someone clicks on edit is we want to set true. But before doing that, we also want that we already have data, so, and the data is same as the data passed. Okay, so we are doing something like this. I just realized that instead of passing this one label here already in the action, I could have done something, because I already have data, and anyway I'm just calling function. However, we have two actions, so I think this is better this way. And anyway, if we want to refactor, I think we can save some space there, but for now this is good. Let's try. So when I click edit, you can see that we have this one, and this is Stack Overflow. However, if I cancel here like this, and if I want to click this one here, then you can see this is the one. So far we have done pretty good job. So we have the title, we have the dialog, and we have everything. So the last part to solve this puzzle is actually how to handle data when someone actually updates. At the moment we are just saying we are updating, but we don't have backend route and anything. So we will be doing that the next. So let's go to server side, and then here somewhere here let's start from URL services. Okay, so in URL services we will be dealing with a couple of things. So we can actually even use some of the route here. So we need to create something. So let's do const, and then we can do update URL. Do we want to do, well, I think update URL is enough. Okay, so let's just start const, and we'll call update URL code. Actually, I'll just Control X this, and I'll put it above here. So I'll still call it update URL code, although I mean this name is a little bit confusing. I'll just go with it. You can even write just update URL or whatever you want. This will be async function, and we will be getting payload, and the payload will be partial of URL type. Okay, that's what we will be dealing. And then we have something here. Let's go to try, and actually before that let's try to make sure that payload will have URL code, and if it does not, I'll just do throw error. Okay, so then let's do try catch here. Okay, and here we will return something. So I'll just for now console log. This will be for our case, and I have been repeating the same thing here, that in your production you will have some sort of logger, and you will be using that logger so that all the logs, all the errors from your application will be recorded somewhere. But in our case this is enough. And then we'll try to get data. So we need to find the data first. Well, it's not necessary to find the data, but we want to find the data. Okay, and then we will just do url.find one. So until now it's almost like this get URL by core. So we could even copy this, and I just realized there is actually something this is not working, so we'll try to also make that work now. So we have data, and I'll just copy this here. Not sure if we need this, because if something happens here, it will go to catch plug. So I don't even think if we ever get into this, so we can actually even remove it from here. Okay, so just getting derailed. So let's go here and then let's copy paste that, and we didn't have URL code, so for that we need to do a bit of modification here, and that's how we get. So now we have data. The next thing is we can just do so that we can take from payload and do something like, in our case here, if you see, we are just doing original URL and name. So I can even do that if payload has this, then we can do data dot original link is whatever the original link we are getting from update. This is one way to do, and you can run multiple if here. Another is you can also do so that, for example, payload, and then whatever the data we are getting, we can loop it through everything in the payload and then just update it. That's also another way to do it. However, we want to make sure that people are only updating something we allow them to update. So in our case, we are only allowing them to update URL and name and nothing else. And for that reason, let's make sure that we do something clever here. And something clever I meant, what we can do is, for now, we can just do editable column restriction. So let's just have something here, and I will call it editable columns, or I can just say column, and that will be array, and that will be array of something that is partial, so it doesn't have to be everything, and then it will be key of URL type. So what I meant by that is, we have URL type, it has ID and everything. However, we don't care about everything here, but we are only caring the keys of this. So that means it can be ID, it can be URL code, and so on. So that's what I can even write manually, but why to make it? So this array will be the key of URL type, so everything what you see, these keys. And then initially what we want is, we just want here, you can see it already understands, that's the benefit of TypeScript. So original link, so we only want our user to update these two fields. So now let's do a little bit of clever way here. So what I want is object keys of payload. So payload is whatever the payload we are passing, so we want to loop it, we want to get it, and for each of those key, I'll just do key and any. Sounds funny because I'm using TypeScript and then I'm doing any, but we can also do something else later, but just let's move it. So we want to make sure that whatever payload we are getting, we want to make sure that those belong within this category. So this should be either name or original link. If not, we don't let that our user to update it. Okay, so for that we can say that if editable columns dot includes, if it includes the key, so whatever the key we are talking about, then only what we want to do is data. So key, it's almost same as saying that if payload has original link, so that means if the payload, the keys of payload, if that is one of the key that we approved, if that's the case, then in that case data, and then the key is same like original link or name in our case. So data dot key, so data dot name or data dot original link is same as payload dot key. Okay, that's the case and nothing else, and we don't need this anymore. So this way, in future, let's say you want to make something else editable. Okay, so let's say you want to have visit count. Okay, so the user can update visit count, or let's say in future you can even let them update the URL code. Okay, so in these cases all you need to do is just add those here. Additionally, you can even restrict that if the user is let's say just a normal user, we don't have a role, but if you had it, then they can only edit certain field. If they are someone else, then they can edit certain field. So this way you don't have to write those if else, and then you can restrict those. Okay, so now we are updating the data as per the payload. Now we need to save. Okay, and to save that, all we can do is return await URL, and then we have this option that find one and then update. Okay, this one, and then it will take a couple of parameters. First is it asks how do we want to find it, and in our case we want to find it based on pure this URL code, and then we pass the data. Okay, so it will try to find anything in our Mongos that has URL code with this, and our URL code are unique. Okay, and also they are indexed, and then we are passing the data, so anything what we have updated. So now we have everything updated, and I think I will follow this same approach here. And why I need to follow the same approach, I will show you. Okay, so let's say if we go to this link here and I use this, it will redirect me to the original URL, and then let's go and let's again call this. So I already used this link twice. However, when I refresh, it's not updating, and the reason behind is here. So we have to apply almost the same approach here. So instead of doing this data update, we can actually even copy paste this there. Okay, and then here instead of URL code, we can just write URL code. Okay, I think now if I refresh this, this is 0. So now let's do, and let's open this one time, twice, 3, 4. Okay, so we have already visited 4 times. Let's click, and you see this is also good. Okay, so in the name of doing this, we also fixed that. Sounds good. Now we have this, we have to go and we have to also update our route here. So let's go to URL route. Okay, so here in URL router, somewhere above this, you can also do it anywhere you want. It's just I want to do everything else above the delete option, so that's just my, and we will do route.put. I think this is the first time we are using this put here, and then this will also uses this. So I'll just pause this video and I will write it, and then I will explain you later. Okay, so I just did this. So we have router.put, and this almost follows the same principle. So we are getting URL code. It's not necessary because we will also get that from the payload or the body, but in this case I'm also just using it. It's just a practice, and we are also making sure that this route is accessible only to our verified user. And then we can also do one more thing, that whether this thing belongs to that user or not. So that's more like a permission check. This is just verifying that user is logged in or not, and then the next can be whether the user has the access to that specific entity that user claim. For example, in this case, whether the user have that relation with URL or not. We can even make that, and maybe I will make a separate video in future about how to check permission, but here we don't do that. And then also, just like here, you can also have some sort of sanitizing, because everything you get as an input from your user, it's not guaranteed that your user will only enter the thing that you are expecting. They may enter totally some different kind of things, JavaScript code or anything, and that might actually do harmful thing in your server. So it's always a good idea that you sanitize everything. However, I'm not going to do it here, and again I may do that in future videos. Okay, so we are getting this URL code just like here, and then we are just calling this update URL code that is from here, and then we are just doing the response, that status, and then that's all. Okay, so now we have a route. Let's go to our front end, and then somewhere here in services, in URL services, above here we will try to create a service function. So let's go and let's do that. we can actually copy this, and then let's rename this, and then before I make a mistake, let's update this to put, and then this URL code will be payload.url code, and then payload. I guess that's all. I think so. Okay, so now we also have this services, so let's go and let's use this in the dashboard. So where we have that, somewhere here in action, I guess. Yes, so here. So when we edit something and then we want to update, okay, so I'm just wondering, do I also need that data here in the model? Okay, maybe not. So let's go and well, I already have this async. Okay, so what we can do is we can just do await, and then we can just do update URL code, and we can import it from here, and then we can just do edit URL data. I guess so. Okay, so we are getting some problem there. We'll try to fix it. What's that? Okay, I think I know why it is complaining. So if edit.url data has URL code, then only we want to do all these things. Actually, not that. So I think now the problem is done. So the idea is, I'm just saying that if we have at least something there, then only we want to do it. Otherwise, we don't want to send empty payload there. Okay, and additionally, you can have some loading function there so that you can show the button loading and so on. But I'm not going to do that. And then I think on cancel, I will call it also here, so that after everything is done, then only it will be cancelled. So if everything is working as expected, we should be actually getting our data updated. So let's change this Stack Overflow to edited, and I will update it. It says updated successfully, closes. Let's refresh it. Okay, so seems like this is working. That's good. So we have already done our main part. So the next thing is I would like to do a bit of clearing here. Okay, so I'm just thinking which one I want to do first. Maybe first I want to make sure that when we delete something, okay, so when we delete something, at the moment we are just deleting directly. So let's try to have some confirmation there, and then when we update something, let's try to refresh. I don't know, let's see. So what I can do here is, somewhere here we have page users. Okay, this one. So what I can do is I can call that function. Can I? I'm not so sure. Let's do so that. Okay, let's just try. So the idea is, if I edit this again and update, okay, so this is refreshed. That's nice, wonderful. Again, when we have a state management, we don't even need to do something like this. We can actually only update our UI, so we don't need to call backend or whatever or however we do. However, in this case, this is enough. And this cancel is good, but I was thinking more about somewhere here we have delete. So this delete. So instead of doing this directly, we want to do something. So let's just make it something like this. So here, if window dot, is it window dot confirm? Okay, are you sure you want to delete this? Well, actually we can even do some interesting thing here. So instead of doing are you sure you want to delete, and then we can just give here data.name. Okay, so if that's the case, and if someone says yes, then only we want to delete. All right, so let's try and let's refresh here. Okay, so are you sure you want to delete? If we cancel, if we refresh, it doesn't delete. That's interesting. And do we? Okay, we don't have access of page users, so at least in the delete for now we have to manually refresh it. That's good, but we have this one here, and this is kind of bothering me. So let's do some change there. First of all, let's make this button secondary. So let's go to a bar here, and then in the button here, I will just go here. Okay, outline secondary. I think that's good. Okay, so that doesn't disturb us. That's fine. It works, and anyway, we are not focusing on this pixel perfection here. So the next thing is we want to handle this. Okay, and also we may want to do something in here. So okay, how to do it? There are a lot of things going on in dashboard, and it would be nice to actually update this in a way that, okay, so the first thing is we don't want to show this one maybe. Okay, so let's do one by one. So let's clear this, and then instead of having it here, we want to use this in post, I guess so. Okay, so let's go to URL services, and then just post. And okay, so we have create URL, and we are actually already using it, but no, that's server side. Okay, sorry, my bad. So here in URL service, we can just go here and just do curate URL, and we can just almost same like here. We have payload, and okay, so payload, and the payload will be, what will be payload here? URL payload type. Do we have URL payload type there? URL payload type. Okay, luckily we have. And if that's the case, and then we can just do something like this. So it will not be array, I guess, and I'm not so sure. Well, let's not do the typing here. Let's just move on. And what we can do is we can just try to do simple try and catch here. So the catch will be exactly like how it is, and then the try will be const data is await, and then http client.post, and then what we were doing in the dashboard. So in the URL, okay, okay, so I'm a little bit slow here. URL, and then we just do payload. Okay, so this should be good, and then I'll just do return data. So now let's go and let's use this create URL here. So instead of doing this data here, what I can do is const data is, actually we don't even need all this error and everything. I can just do await create URL, and then what was it? Okay, so I think this should be good. I'm not so sure. And then what I want to do is, after this is done, I want to call this page URL for users. So the idea is, we need this short URL? Okay, we may need it. Let's just have it there. So the idea is, if I go here, if I copy this, and if I were to create this GitHub repo per my all, just like that. Okay, you can see that it already updated here, and now if I refresh this, this stays here, and if I use this, then it will redirect us to here. And now if I refresh, it also says it's visited one, and then I can just remove this and it says update successfully. Okay, so everything is working good. Now we need to handle this state. So the idea is, we only show this empty state if we have nothing there. I mean, we don't have any data. Okay, in that case we show, otherwise we show something else. So let's go and let's see what we have in our dashboard. So I have to understand the logic. Okay, so first of all, we have show URL add view. So we have render a new URL or render empty state, and I think this should not be the case, I guess. So okay, so in that case, what I can do is, instead of this, I will make it conditional, and then I'll just take it. So we will render this only if we have show URL add view. Okay, that's good. And then we don't need to show this short URL because we are already adding that to list and refreshing it, so we don't need that. So the next is, we need to do something. Okay, so just like we have empty state, I will go here under empty state. I will also create one more thing. So now we have empty state. So let's go here and let's do one more thing. So under here, I will just call render add new button. I'm trying to do something, so let's see what I can do. Okay, so this this render add new button, it just has this. We have to add CSS in our dashboard, and then all it does is there is a button and it will set show URL add new. So almost the same thing like this empty state. Whatever it does exactly the same thing. However, we just have a button and we have this, and we will need to give some styling here. Okay, so that's what I did, and now we have this render add new button and we have a render empty state. So how are we going to deal with that? It is interesting question. Okay, so we need to do something here, and that something is going to be, okay, so we have a render model here. I'm just thinking out loud. So somewhere here, I guess we need to do something, and that something is, if we have this data. Okay, so let's do boolean and length. If we have the length, if that's the case, we want to do this. If not, we want to do render empty state. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Yes, exactly. So this is what we wanted. So when I click this, we have this option. It's kind of full screen, but it doesn't matter. it really doesn't bother, and in mobile it looks pretty good. And if I cancel this, goes here, okay, that's good. However, we need to also care that, okay, this is deleted, this is deleted, and this is deleted. So we have all three deleted. So when everything is deleted, we have this and we have this. So this should not be visible. Okay, so let's go and handle that case. And how can we handle is this one. Okay, so I think I can use almost the same thing here, and then everything else. So let's just do something like that. So if that's the case, what I want is I want some fragment here, and then I actually can copy this. Okay, so we have fragments. So if we have length, then only we want to render modal and do everything. So I guess we can just here. Okay, so if we have that, we can do render modal, and then we can also do that, and then we can also do that, and we don't need that, I guess. Alright, let's go and let's check it out. That sounds good. Okay, so this is our empty state. If I create a new sort URL, so let's just go here and let's copy this and let's do that, and then the name is GitHub repo. Okay, so we have this one. That's interesting. Now if I refresh, we get this one. Okay, that's good. I see there is one simple UI thing we can fix, and that is whenever we are posting it here, we can also do so that we can set so URL at view false, because we have already added, and this is totally not necessary here. Okay, so now let's delete. Yes, we need to refresh here. However, now if we add this and if I do it, okay, you can see that everything else is gone and we have something like this. And then, to be honest, if we want to forcefully do it, we can even do window reload after delete, but as I said, we don't want that. So let's test it in the mobile. Okay, we have mobile. Oh, what happened? Okay, so there's one more bug in mobile. I would like to fix it. So if we go to URL component here, then we are doing some trick here. So we are checking this inner width. So I will just go here, and instead of is mobile false, what I can do is window dot inner width. Okay, so if that's the case, then it's mobile. If not, so I guess this should. Now if we refresh, okay, so it will render the mobile view, and if we stretch, if we refresh, all right, and then if we do something like that, that's good. So we even fixed that. And now if we log out, if we refresh, and if we try to go to dashboard, we are here. If we log in, okay, so we have some problem. Okay, so it should be user@bcast.com, I guess. All right, so we are inside a dashboard. Okay, so we have some refreshing issue still existing there, and we may tackle that later, and I know why that's happening. because when we log in, we are making a request without SS token, so that's the reason it shows empty in the beginning. However, now this should be good. So let's first try using this URL. So it should redirect us to our GitHub. Okay, it does it. And then it should update this one from 0 to 1. It does. Now let's change this GitHub to EasyLink App GitHub. We update and it updates. That's good. All right. So I think this is it for this video. We still have a few more things that we want to do it, and those things are mainly focused about state management, and also it will be a good practice for you to see some sort of state management. Most probably I will go with Redux or Mobex. Let's see how I feel like. Both are good. Redux is really popular, but lately I also like Mobex, so it really depends how I feel next time when I record this video. But I hope this video was useful for you, and with this, almost everything what I actually promised in this design is already done. Okay, it doesn't look pixel perfect here, and it didn't even have those button and those state there. It only had the empty state. However, we did modify a couple of things. We even have logout and all those options. So actually we did more than what we have here, and then those Mobex and some adjustments and wrapping up the project is also actually out of the scope. However, I would like to do it just for the practice. I hope today's video was useful for you, and if you agree, please smash the like button if you haven't already. Also, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. I hope to see you in new video. Until then, keep coding. Bye bye.